So anyway, what I wanted to show is that a couple weeks ago, before I came down with the flu, I went to a local game store, and they had a bunch of old Nintendo Powers, and so I got this one. Now this one, we looked at in our big, like, Donkey Kong Country Nintendo Power review, and this is, let's see, here at the end, it's got little Donkey Kong Country, you know, it's telling you gotta keep paying attention. And then we got our cards here, so we have these, but the main thing about this one is this is the one that has Donkey Kong Country exposed in it. Not the VHS, unfortunately. I would love to own the VHS someday, but I don't own the VHS. But I believe Pure does. But we do have a VHS player, so I could watch it. I could watch it in real life if I ever do end up getting it. But this is the one that has, like, the sort of preview of Donkey Kong Country that has, it's this one, you know? You remember this one? It's got some good stuff in here. The importance of collecting bananas cannot be understated. Remember that? Remember how they really should have said overstated instead of understated, but whatever. But I still love it. You're an ape. A horrible horde of lizards stole your bananas. Anyway, I was very excited. So I did not find the little pamphlet that we looked at last time, the one where they said that Donkey Kong Land is better than Donkey Kong Country. Maybe I can get that one someday, but that was like a special little booklet, so it, I guess that one is just too rare because, you know, they had to destroy it because it told the truth. The truth that people weren't ready to accept, that Donkey Kong Land is better than Donkey Kong Country. Hey Ghostly, how's it going? Anyway, yeah, this is the Kremlings in the hole one. We got Rock Croc, which is not spelled correctly. This is the one where they keep calling zingers bees, which made me think that they hadn't named zingers yet, but then later we found out that they named zingers like really early on, but for some reason they just call zingers bees in this. This one also has, it's got some really cool features on Final Fantasy VI, which I think was 4, 3, whatever it was in the US at the time. But I've never played this game, but I will someday, and I'm sure I will treasure this issue of Nintendo Power even more, of 3. Yeah, so Final Fantasy 3/6. But, you know, I always wanted to play this game, but I haven't. But yet another reason to enjoy this issue whenever I do get around to that. And then, you know, Illusion of Gaia. A lot of good stuff in this one. But anyway, oh yeah, and on the back we have our Super Game Boy advertisement with Donkey Kong 94. And, yeah, I'm playing Final Fantasy IV right now, actually. The pixel remaster version of it. But the main event is this one, because this is the one that we're going to be looking at today, which is, you know, got a big feature on Donkey Kong Land, and, you know, we don't get to see where it says Donkey Kong Land here because it's covered up by this. Thank you to David Huey. Wow, the guy from Paper Mario Color Splash. Anyway, thank you to David Huey for selling this Nintendo Power off. It's very funny to me because, like, you know, to a lot of people, this is just like some old magazine. It's just like some old advertisement for Nintendo, basically. But to me, these are important historical documents, and so when I see them and I'm like, someone just gave away their copy of Nintendo Power featuring Donkey Kong Land and the previews of the first ever E3 and Donkey Kong Country 2 and all that stuff, someone just gave that away? I can't believe it. But, you know, to a lot of people, it's just like, whatever, this is just, like, Nintendo's, like, advertisement for itself. It's not that special. It's special to me, though. These are important to me, and so I'm very glad that I own both of these now. And I think they actually had another one too that we had looked at on stream. Yeah, they had the one that like had the very first ever preview of Donkey Kong Country with the like Stunt Race FX cover. And I almost got that one too, but I'm trying to not like go crazy with spending money recently because I already kind of have recently on other stuff, and also because I have medical bills that I have to pay. So I'm like trying to be like a little money conscious these days, but you know, I kind of feel bad. I should have bought that one too, honestly. Hopefully if I go back there sometime soon, they'll still have it. But yeah, so this one, we got Boss Dum Drum on the back, I guess, because everybody's favorite Donkey Kong Country character. I will be looking at this one probably in real life as we are looking at it on the screen here today, because the scan that I found of this issue, it kind of sucks. Like, the scan sucks, and I'm sorry. I might have to show you, like, I might have to hold up parts of the thing, because it might be better to, like, look at it on the camera versus, like, looking at it on the scan, but I guess we can jump right into it then, because, yeah, now that I've showed these off in real life, we can look at the digital version of it, which I need to set up here real quick. There's not really enough to talk about when it comes to Johnny Blastoff. We talked about it in our, like, concept art episode, which, by the way, I need to make a command for this or something, but, like, most of the episodes are up on YouTube now as well, so when, you know, the VODs on Twitch expire, they'll be there on YouTube, but, we did talk about, like, Kremling concepts, but there's not much is known about that game, except for the fact it was gonna be, like, basically, like, a point-and-click adventure, but according to Greg Mails, like, it never got very far off the ground aside from some, like, concept art and text and stuff, so, like, it's not like they even had, like, a working, like, demo of it or anything like that, so. Hey, Martros! You have missed, like, nothing so far. I'm going to go ahead and open up this real quick and put it on the screen. Yeah, I guess Rare never ended up making, like, a point-and-click adventure game. Have they ever? I think that would have been really cool. I think they would have made a really good one, actually, but... Alright, perfect. So I actually really love the graphic design that they went with for a lot of this Donkey Kong Land feature. It's very, like, I don't know, it's very vaporwavy. They really focused on the whole, like, Kremlantis thing, so they've got a lot of, like, underwater, like, it's cool. Also, I think I'm just gonna keep playing, like, random music here, because I don't want to just put it back on the same old, like, Donkey Kong stuff we've been listening to, which is, of course, obviously, you know, I'll never get tired of listening to Donkey Kong music, but, well, this is Donkey Kong music, but it's not old Donkey Kong music. This has nothing to do with Kremlings at all. Hold on a sec. Let's get this just right. Alright. So again, I apologize. I feel like I'm still mentally a little bit out of it after the illness, and I haven't been streaming as much, so I'm sorry if I'm, like, a little low energy today. I'm also, like, I have that thing where I'm like, naturally low energy, but I'm also kind of a little bit hyped up on, like, cold meds and stuff, so my brain is kind of just, like, being pulled in different directions, so I apologize. So I'm trying to keep it together, but I might not be at my 100% best streamer, you know, streamer value, but But yeah, let us get started here. So this is, you know, this issue right here. So I didn't even realize that it says when pigs fly at the bottom, because that is blocked off by the, I mean, you can sort of see it, but I just didn't notice it before because it's blocked off by the label that is on mine. I'm on Sudafed, so I don't know. I feel like Sudafed kind of makes me feel a little crazy, but maybe that's just me. But they were like, I know we talked about this, you know, in all of our Donkey Kong Land episodes so far, but they were like so goddamn obsessed with the flying pigs of this game. Like, it honestly makes me really surprised that hogwashes haven't returned in any future Donkey Kong game in any way, because like, they hyped them up so much. They were like, oh my god, this is the most funny, ingenious concepts. You know what? I am gonna put it on just Donkey Kong country music, because one, it's kind of distracting otherwise, and two, I do have certain songs that can pop up that occasionally will get me muted, like Kingdom Hearts music, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on the Donkey Kong country music, just to be safe and thematically appropriate. Alright, much better. Anyway, yeah, so I was talking about hogwashes and, like, how everyone at the time just thought it was just the funniest thing ever invented. Like, it's actual flying pigs, like, get it? Like, crazy. I'm not local recording, but I never do. I just, like, gave up on trying to remember at some point. It doesn't really matter. Alright, maybe someday I'll start doing that actually, but every time I just keep forgetting and it's whatever. Anyway, so when we open this, the music didn't drive him into a frenzy. It was the guy who snaked his new issue of Nintendo Power. Wait, hold on. What does that mean? It was the guy who snaked his new issue of Nintendo... What does snaking mean in this context? I don't know. What is this 90s slang that I don't remember? If your name isn't on the cover of this mag, then how'd you get this issue into your grubby, game-gripping palms anyway? Is it... Okay, I don't know, is this like a drug deal thing or something? Like, you secretly, like, have to pay somebody behind the bleachers to get your Nintendo Power or something? I got this, like, 30 years later, from a game store. That's how I got it. And it cost me more than $3.95, let me tell you this. Oh, I should point out that, like, almost all of their Nintendo Powers at the store were $10. But this one was $20, and I don't know why, because they just think Donkey Kong Land was that valuable, or maybe it's because it has, like, a preview of the first ever E3 in it. I don't know why this one in particular was worth twice as more as the others, but they decided it was, so. Anyway, this one's an extra rare issue or something. Sort of about the guy who made No More Heroes. That's good. That's a good one. Okay, yeah, so I guess you like, stole this off the newsstand or something. I don't know. I feel like that's more like where people like make out in secret instead of like buying drugs. I don't know why my brain went there, but you can tell I wasn't like secretly buying drugs in high school. I don't know where people were doing that. But I might have been making out with people sometimes. Alright, so if you're guilty of any of these charges, there's something you should know. Until you get your own subscription, you're never gonna beat somebody who gets their own monthly issue of Nintendo Power. Be serious for a minute. I just noticed that these are like the anarchy symbols, and like, holy shit, they're... How do you expect to compete against someone who gets hundreds of hot game tips every month? Tips that buy them extra lives, help them skip levels, and beat the crud out of beat the KRUDD out of non-subscribing losers time after time? You can't. The only way to stay in the game and stay up to date with Ultra 64, whoa, the Ultra 64, and Virtual Boy, holy shit, I have to stay up to date with the Virtual Boy. is to sign up now for... Why does it, like, 1B? Oh, 18. That's an... Why does that look like a B so much? That looks straight up like a B, but when I look at it here, it's definitely an 8. Because that looks like you have to sign up for, like, $1 billion. When I see, like, a B after an amount of money, that usually means billion. But I don't know if you can see it here, but, like, it's definitely an 18. You sign up... Did this, like, scan do some sort of, like, auto-correction thing where it tried to turn that into a B? Because, like... That is so a B right there. And it's not a B. It's not actually a B. It's like zingers. It's not a B. It's a zinger. You sign up for Nintendo Power for $1 billion. It's worth it. Maybe this was some edition, an early edition of like this Nintendo Power where they accidentally put a B there and then they had to send out a correction later. And that's the one I have. I have like version 2. Anyway, you sign up for Nintendo Power for $1 billion and you can get all of the insights on the Virtual Boy. And you get a crispy tip-packed issue in your mailbox every month. So forget begging and mooching old worn-out issues of Nintendo Power off your friends. There's only one thing that feels better than getting your own copy of Nintendo Power every month, and that's beating the crud out of someone who doesn't. What the? Why are we, like, beating the shit out of people who don't get a fucking Nintendo magazine? God, like, 90s bullies were intense. If you weren't nerdy enough, they would beat you up. They're like, hey, you don't have fucking Nintendo Power? We're gonna, like, shove you into a locker, nerd. Oh, you got a sound effect redeem? Sorry. Yeah, I'm, here. One second. I think Victor might have come down here and is trying to fix the thing, or it's just making noise on its own, which is kind of concerning. No, it's definitely Victor. Thank you, Victor. Victor, I'll help. You don't have to do it right now. I don't know if he can hear me. Alright, here we go. That kind of sounds like the noises Victor's making in the background right now. Actually, that's more like the sound it made when it fell over earlier. So, the interesting thing about the DK Virtual Boy game is... I mean... I've never played a Virtual Boy game in my life, period. So it's one that I almost certainly, like, would have missed, for a very long time in my life, and, I don't know, I guess I don't mourn it too much. Like, I know there's some, like, DK fans out there who are like, ah, they could have made a Donkey Kong game on the Virtual Boy, that would have been crazy. But I've never particularly been interested in the Virtual Boy or cared about it that much, so it's just really, like, not... we're actually going to get the... Victor already ordered it and it shipped, so it's gonna get here soon. We're gonna get the Virtual Boy, the Switch one, because Victor thought that would be cool to have, so it's coming. But, I don't know, I guess I've never particularly, like, mourned the loss of that game too much. Alright, but let's look at Donkey Kong Land, the first Game Boy game to use the ACM rendering technique. The Kong is back, and this time he's heating up the Game Boy. Oh boy, steamy. This huge 14-page feature covers everything you need to know to master this monkey's mayhem. So again, the scan, I don't know what's up with the scan, but it looks like it's like it got wet or something. Like, I don't know why it's weirdly blurry. But that's the best we got. So, actually, I guess I need to zoom out a little more again, because, there we go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Donkey Kong Land, they were really trying to sell people on it, and they were trying to sell people on the fact that it may be better than Donkey Kong Country. It's not, but I do want to say, you know, I've said this a bunch, but I appreciate Donkey Kong Land a lot for what it is. And, I mentioned this a little bit last time, but then I got, like, I was starting to really run out of steam, so I feel like I didn't talk about it enough, but I did listen to a conversation interview with Paul Makachek, who was the like lead programmer on Donkey Kong Land, and I only listened to like, I didn't listen to the whole thing because they kind of like went over his whole career. He still works at Rare, by the way. He is, I think, the person at Rare currently who has been there the longest. Like, he worked there even before Greg Mails did. But he was the lead programmer on Donkey Kong Land, and he is like the one responsible for the thing that I like about Donkey Kong Land the most, which is apparently he was really insistent that it be... I don't know what the fuck that noise was, sorry. He was really insistent that it be like its own identity and its own game, and not just like a port of Donkey Kong Country onto the Game Boy, which they did end up making eventually, but and he was not the lead programmer on Donkey Kong Land 2 or 3, which is why those two ended up like being kind of much closer to their SNES counterparts. But so he was, you know, he's not someone that I've necessarily given proper credit to, I feel. Like, when I think about the people at Rare who I really admire and have talked about a lot, Paul Makachek is not one that I've, like, historically given enough credit to, I think. But he, you know, he's been there for a long time. He's worked on a lot of, like, the big heavy hitter games. But he also was responsible for making Donkey Kong Land have its own identity and its own like worlds and its own like characters and stuff, instead of just being like as close as possible to Donkey Kong Country. So I appreciate that a lot, and it's a good interview. I'll link it in probably both this and the previous episode. I'll link it in the YouTube description when we get there. But yeah, he's like really smart too. It was a cool interview to listen to. He was like making his own games basically as a young teenager before he got hired by Rare, so. That also probably does make him responsible for the excellent moving platform mechanic in that one level, but it's okay, nobody's perfect. Alright. 1 minute here. I'm having a snifflies moment. Yay for stream. I want to say, by the way, that like so many people are sick right now. I was reading the DK Vine Weekender, and Hyle was like, I have a cold, and then like I was watching a streamer before I started streaming myself, and he was like, I'm sick. Everybody's sick right now, so I guess I'm not that unusual. I'm not special. Oh, Slinky, hi. Slinky, I will give you your sound effect. Sorry. Like I said, I'm not, my brain is not 100% there. There we go. Enjoy your on guard. Yeah, we were talking about this on my last stream. It's literal viral marketing. Nintendo actually sent a plague out to get people get people excited about Mario Tennis Fever. Here, we're gonna give you an actual fever. Then you have no choice but to stay home and play your Switch because you can't go out. Anyway. We are getting off on a lot of tangents, but so RPGs in Japan! Yay! I love JRPGs. E3 report. And was E3, I feel like E3 wasn't always stylized this way, where it was like, or is it? I don't know. I feel like, you know, when people talked about it online in later years, they would just write like E3 with, but like, is it officially, has it always been stylized like with the 3 as if it was like 3 squared, you know, like, or to the cube, whatever, it's like cubed, right? If you have the 3 up there, it's like cubed. E cubed. And then Under the Skin of ACM. So I actually, last stream when we did this, I wore my like Rare wireframe t-shirt because we were going to read this article about Rare's graphical technology, but we didn't get there. I didn't wear that one today because I haven't washed it yet, but... Anyway. So. The player's pulse. I'm not even going to try to read some of this stuff because, again, the scan is really bad. But this one is related to Donkey Kong Country. I just read what Cranky wrote in Nintendo Power Volume 71, and that geezer doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know what this is talking about, actually. We might have to go back and look at issue 71. I don't know what Cranky said. Cranky said something so terrible that it caused people to write in response. I think Donkey Kong Country is far out. The graphics are great, and you made the game so enjoyable. I think you should put me in the next game if you make a sequel. Wait, Funky wrote this. What the hell? I was like, wait, who is writing here? And then I realized that Funky Kong wrote this. Okay, hold on. Wait. I just read what Cranky wrote in Nintendo Power Volume 71, and that geezer doesn't know what he's talking about. I think Donkey Kong Country is far out. The graphics are great, and you made the game so enjoyable. I think you should put me in the next game if you make a sequel. Well, good news, Funky, they did. But they didn't put you in Donkey Kong Land, but they did put you in Donkey Kong Land Rumble in the Jungle, the novelization. Or it's just called Donkey Kong Rumble in the Jungle, I think. They put you in the novelization. You were very important. I have some good moves to bash those Kremlings. I bet the next thing Crank, just call him Crank, come on now, would say is the new layout of the magazine is too much. It could make him have a heart attack. But I think it's totally awesome. It looks like every gorilla has an opinion on DKC, and that's no monkey shines. But we're still waiting to hear from Candy Kong. Hello out there, Candy. Drop us a line. Yo, happy Valentine's Day. So, Funky, you know, he's talking about how he has his cool moves to bash those Kremlings, but I don't think Funky's ever had a chance to do that, because, I mean, I guess he sort of did it, like, by proxy, because he gives you, like, the guns in DK64, but... you know, even when he is playable, he did not get a chance to bash any Kremlings yet, but maybe his day will come. All that Funky's been able to bash so far is Snowmads. Is Kirby really made of marshmallow? Rumor has it that Kirby is made of a mysterious substance called Kirbite that allows him to keep inhaling and exhaling for hours without hypervent. Good thing we're not doing the Kirby chronology. This lore is... too much for me. This is true. He did directly shoot K. Rool in the ass with his boot gun, so that is the most direct Kremling bashing he's done. And in the GBA remake of DKC2, he does like bomb him, but that's not canon. I don't accept that as canon. Hold on, is there any other Donkey Kong mentions here? Oh, these people are concerned that the Super NES is dying and the Ultra 64 is the new thing, but they're like, no, the Super NES will never die, which I agree with, because I'm still playing it. Alright, anyway. We gotta move on here. Yo, Donkey Kong Country was #1. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past still, #2 here, I guess, which is interesting, because that game had already been out for a very long time at this point, right? But it was still selling like hotcakes, I guess. Game Boy Top 10. Link's Awakening did defeat Donkey Kong Land, which I gotta say, earned. Like, I gotta say, Link's Awakening is a better game than Donkey Kong Land. But, you know, they're both good. These are all good games. I've played most of these. I have not played Mortal Kombat 2 or Wario Blast. I have played Metroid 2, but only the remake. It's probably an extremely different game. It's not a comparable experience whatsoever, but I have played the 3DS version of that. Otherwise, I think I've played all of these. Top 10 movie-based games. That's an interesting, unique metric to have. Right? Alright, let's get to Donkey Kong Land, and let's get to me reading this in my actual edition of this, because sorry, I'm gonna read it for you, but this is, like, really hard to, like, actually read on this scan. It's terrible. So, Cranky Kong's Tough Challenge. Okay, wait a second. They're actually going with the real story in this, because if you remember the little pamphlet we looked at last time, it did not acknowledge like the real nature of the fourth wall breaking story at all. It was kind of just like I feel like they didn't actually pay attention to, either the manual hadn't been written yet or they just like didn't read it or something, because they did not know what was actually going on in that game. They were just making shit up. They were like, yeah, so you're going to like different dimensions, and K. Rool made it like he pulled a Frederick and he made it winter when it shouldn't be winter. Like they were just going crazy. But you know, here we've got the real story. Okay, video game pioneer Cranky Kong is unimpressed by Donkey and Diddy's victory over King K. Rool in Donkey Kong Country. Back in my day, we had great games on an extremely limited color palette. You guys had it easy. Donkey and Diddy retort that they could beat K. Rool on an 8-bit system. You're on, laughs Cranky. Now you can recover the Banana Horde in Donkey Kong Land, a Game Boy adventure that uses advanced computer modeling, the same format used in Donkey Kong Country. Jump, bump, and go ape as you explore this battery-backed action game. Alright, so... Again, I really just love the, like, vaporwavy Kremlantis background in this. It's, like, so good. I don't know if you could, like... see that very well, but so last time we looked at like a special little exclusive booklet that was all about Donkey Kong Land that I still didn't look up the context of that. I don't know if it was like sent out in the mail along with Nintendo Power, or if it was like in one of the issues and like you could just like, I think it was like a British exclusive as well. I think it was like a Nintendo of UK exclusive, because it was very like Britishisms, but it had like, it was part strategy guide, although it was not a full strategy guide, and it was like part review as well, where they claimed it was better than Donkey Kong Country, and it's like, all right, guys, slow down a little bit. I have the link to it, yeah, actually. Let me pull that up again real quick. Here it is, but I will put it in the chat. So check that out, or you can also watch the stream from last time if you missed it. Espresso was in like 2 levels, but you know, I'm glad he was there at all. He's gonna be in Donkey Kong Bonanza, well, statue of him, very soon, and I'm excited about that because Espresso is one of my favorites. Alright. So go bananas and new stages. Cranky's challenge wouldn't be much fun if Donkey Kong Land's levels were just like the Super NES version, so he asked King K. Rool to help create some new material. I just love that they're acknowledging that Cranky and K. Rool were just like working together. I really need to draw them like talking to each other on the phone, or like, you know, they're just sitting there with like some blueprints or something. They're just planning out the most diabolical fucking cloud platform levels ever. There are 30 new innovative stages and 4 challenging main guardians. Most of the stages conceal a secret area or 2. The save screen tracks 3 files of progress and the total playtime. How much time will it take you to complete the game? Go for a new record. It took me too long because I was looking for the stupid bonuses, but I could draw that, yes. Man, whoever came up with like the cloud platform, you know they started making out after that. 1. Gangplank Galleon. Hoist the mainsails and raise the jib. Donkey and Diddy are setting sail in new uncharted waters. Climb the mast and keep a lookout for stuff on the poop deck. You know they gotta mention the poop deck because it was the 90s and it was very funny. Kremlantis. You're not in Kansas anymore, Diddy. Ride the swirlwinds in legendary Kremlantis and mix up those nasty zingers and critters. It's a twister, Auntie M! A twister! Okay, yes, we get it. You know, we love the poop tornado, which they appropriately colored here, thankfully. Chimpanzee clouds! Fuck you. Afraid of falling from high places? Donkey and Diddy hate that tumbling sensation. Help them out as they scale the towering heights of chimpanzee clouds. And 4, Big Ape City. Donkey Kong loves Big Ape City. Cranky used to roll barrels at a plumber in the construction site here. Use your street smarts and find King K. Rool's hideout. All right, we're kind of working down and then up here. So Espresso is a double tall non-fat latte to go. Lots of coffee jokes with him, makes sense. Ride on high-octane espresso and leave these critters in the dust. Just don't give this jittery ostrich any more caffeine. Ramby's back and he's on the attack. Bulldoze your way through walls and critters with this powerful ally. Mount up and move them out. I don't know why they just, like, keep talking about critters. Like, you know, critters are the only ones that are getting acknowledged here. What about the claptracks? What about Krusha? I don't know. They just have it out for the critters specifically. There are a lot of critters in this game, to be fair. It's mostly critters. Looks like Donkey Kong received a priority delivery. Bust open this crate and break up the Kremlings. Animal crates are better than a barrel of monkeys. Donkey and Diddy's old friends Ramby and Espresso are back. These trusty steeds are the best way to get around in the Wild Kingdom. Wooden crates containing the animals are scattered throughout all 4 of the worlds, including a few secret areas. Ramby's thick hide is perfect for breaking up the landscape. Espresso's limited flying skills bring sky-high bonus items back down to Earth. Alright, moving on to the next pages. Bulldozing critters. Oh, baby. Alright. Wow. This would have been useful to look at when I was frickin' playing the actual game. This guide is, like, more helpful than the other little pamphlet one that we looked at, I feel. King K. Rool's ship has dropped anchor near Donkey Kong's treehouse. Journey through the jungle and mountain highlands on your way to the gruesome galleon. The following pages examine the treacherous terrain in fine detail. I don't think the galleon is gruesome. I think it's beautiful. It's a very beautiful ship. Yo, this is Valentine's Day appropriate. Hold on. It says, climb into the canopy. Hidden high in the jungle treetops are tons of bananas. You need to figure out how to collect them. Spring off the Kremling's head and grab a handful of palm fronds. Look, a heart made out of bananas. Did Candy Kong leave this for you? Maybe she did, you know? That's how she left her mark on the game, because she's not in the game otherwise. Donkey Kong might be king of the jungle, but Ramby the Rhino is king of the road. Break Ramby out of the crate and run down the foolish Kremlings. They're just being really mean to him. Don't forget to ram walls and search for secret areas. Okay, I don't necessarily need to, like, read every single thing on this page. We already played the game. Look, Crush is there. Crush has graced us with his presence down at the bottom. Now, down in the lower right, it says Kremling Bouncer. This big lug of a Kremling just stays in one place and jumps up and down. Why is he here? Jump on his head and reach for the treetops. Diddy's lightweight body makes him ideal for high bounces. You know, maybe don't judge him. He's just there because he's getting his exercise. He's doing his jumping jacks, okay? Don't ask. I don't ask why you're here, Nintendo Power author. I ask why I'm here, but I'm not going to ask that of anyone else. Yeah, the real Kremling Bouncer is Clump, who is not in this game, unfortunately. Where it says run for the 1-up balloon, this extra life balloon always eludes your grasp, but there's a way to grab it. From the start of the level, hold down the B button and run to the right. Jump up at the edge of the ledge. Now you can do those funny helium voices Funky Kong taught you. That's cute. I guess Funky likes, Funky likes goofing around, you know? He's not too cool to do some funny balloon voices sometimes. Yes, that's why. Alright, we have an ad break coming up. We have not gotten very far into this magazine in like an hour, but that's okay. I will go ahead and take the break now, actually, and we will come back and we will look at this. Let's continue, shall we? Trying to see what's most interesting about this spread here. I like the zingers. I like this, oh, Wait, I'm on the wrong set of pages. I got ahead of myself. I was looking at something different than what you were looking at. God, this is a big feature. There's a lot of pages here. All right. I do like the side view of the slippa here. See, if I read every single thing on like all of these Donkey Kong Land pages, it's gonna take even longer. Most of these are just like telling you how to get to bonuses and stuff, which I had to figure out on my own, the hard way. Yeah, well, spoiler alert, there's 3 hole zingers on the next page, so... I do like the bottom right there. It says C sharp or B flat. That's pretty clever. Buzzing zingers are the last and most dangerous obstacles on the tire trail. Oh no, not tire trail. I just fucking remembered my trauma with that level. That was... that one tire. I think that's the tire in the screenshot there. That's the tire. That one tire, my greatest enemy. Oh yeah, they're talking about the secret exit over here. Yeah, this is mostly just stuff that I had to figure out on my own, you know. Dang. If only I had had this book, this Nintendo Power, when I was playing the game, but I didn't own it yet. You just, like, turn the page and it's just, like, nothing but zingers. It's just a complete swarm of zingers, all over the... Like, actual real zingers fly out of the book. It's like that one, like, Oprah gif with the bees. It's a classic. Alright, here's some more zingers for you. That's what I was talking about. And we got a claptrap. Zinger pattern. You can't zap these buzzing bees, but there is a pattern for passing them. While riding the rope, slide down under the first bee, up above the second bee, and then down below the final insect. You did it! Yay! Otherwise, I don't know, there's not a lot of interesting stuff here. They're telling you how to avoid zingers. Alright, moving on to the good stuff. Kremlantis. We love Kremlantis. They loved Kremlantis too, considering they decided to use it as like the background for this entire feature here. Yeah, honestly, that's why this issue cost $20 at the used game store, was because like they knew that if you're gonna play Donkey Kong Land, you really want some help finding these bonuses. So it makes it so valuable. No zingers here because it's underwater mostly, so unfortunately zingers cannot survive under the ocean. But the ruins of legendary Kremlantis are rising from the sea. Are they? I don't know. Cool. This partially submerged complex of ancient temples is teeming with hungry fish and Kremlings. Explore all of the regions and recover lost treasures. Special K, that's cute. A sea creature chases you down into the depths when you swim for the letter K, but don't be intimidated. Wait at the bottom of the pit until he slowly swims away. I didn't even realize Special K, like, existed back then. I guess it did. Any big cereal fans in the chat? Double your displeasure. 2 bouncing critters are ready to crush Kong. There's another instance of Kong. We haven't seen that in a while. True, okay, I always figured Kremlantis, like, hadn't sunk entirely, so that's why you get, like, underwater ruins, but then there's still some above water levels as well. The implication that it had sunk entirely in the past, but now was, like, rising out of the ocean, that's interesting. Because I always figured it was just, you know, like, it had partially sunk, but wasn't entirely sunk. But now it's like, no, this is getting more spicy. It says double your displeasure because there's 2 critters, but that actually doubles my pleasure. You know, I have the more Kremlings there are, the more pleasure I have. So are they gonna talk about the poop tornado? Maybe that's on the next page. The departed denizens of Kremlantis were a paranoid bunch. They built 2 exits in case the palace sank. You can find the second exit and some extra bananas and Kong tokens if you swim farther to the right. It's interesting, ancient Kremlings developing these portals as some kind of like backup escape route, just in case. This is interesting because we get like this entire map of Reef Rampage here. And I remember remarking on like how surprisingly big that level seemed. And I guess, you know, we've been looking at this whole time, like all of these pages have like the entire horizontal maps of these levels, which is pretty neat to see them all like laid out like that. But yeah, Reef Rampage might be as long as, like, Croctopus Chases. I don't know. You'd have to, like, open up DKC Atlas, like, put them side by side. It's pretty big. Okay. They decided to just kind of really skimp on these last 2 worlds, though. I guess they didn't want to give everything away, because, Monkey Mountain and Chimpanzee Clouds only gets this. It gets like a third of the page spread. Yeah, I guess the authors of this also, they were like, fuck it, we're not gonna we're this area sucks. We're not gonna go into detail here. They couldn't even find all the secrets themselves. Traverse the tallest peaks in Donkey Kong Land as you climb the Monkey Mountains. The peaks are packed with high-altitude thrills. Explore ledges and ride automated platforms as you weave your way through crevasses and around clouds. It's a long way to the top, so get a toehold and start climbing. I just want to see what it says about Sky High Caper. Riding the wrong direction, Sky High Caper, the platform changes direction when you leap. Keep hopping until you're going where you want to go, but don't fall off getting there. And then Big Ape City. Big Ape City is the 4th and final world in Donkey Kong Land. Diddy and Donkey leap in Karom? Karom? C-A-R-O-M. That's an advanced word right there. Well, they do that across the skyline, bouncing and rolling through the DK Blimp and several skyscraper construction sites. King K. Rool is ready and waiting in his penthouse hideaway. Are you prepared for the rematch? Dude, he's got a penthouse. I didn't realize that's what that was supposed to be. It's kind of just, I don't know. I guess it was like at the top of a building. Yeah, the 4 baddies, which one are you? I think I'm the mole. I'm, looking... Okay. The Kong Crazy level is packed with letters. Diddy and Donkey need to collect all of them to build bridges and stairways. Don't let the zingers challenge you to a spelling bee. I just had to read that one because that was cute. That's... Get it? A spelling bee, because they're zingers. just imagining K-Rool's, like, fancy penthouse. He's just chilling there, like, sipping some champagne. Like, does he have his own private, like, pool or something? He's got, like, a rooftop pool. It mentions his penthouse again in this level 6. Button barrel blast features handy switches for locking in the angle of barrel shots. Use good Mark's ape ship to aim around enemies and obstructions. K-Rool's penthouse in sight. Yo, that's where he and Cranky were hanging out when they were planning this game. Imagine him in a swimsuit. He already is, like, naked, except for his cape, basically. He'd be, like, wearing more clothes if he was wearing a swimsuit. But somehow that does feel like sexier, like if he just like put on a Speedo, even though he's normally like not even wearing anything. K-Pool. The oil drum slum is K-Rool's toxic waste dump. You need to use a series of burning oil cans as jumping platforms. Don't get a hot foot, jump on the can when the flames burn out. I feel like he doesn't need a swimsuit because he's a crocodile. But, like, Kremling strippers put clothes on, yeah. Clump covers up his nipples. That's what makes it, that you know, then it becomes, like, enticing, you know? It becomes more, like, naughty feeling. It becomes more, not naughty as in the beaver, but... Alright, so the bosses. Wild Sting Fling. Don't flounder under the weight of the stingray. Wait in the middle of the screen for the fish to appear. As the stingray enters the screen, move to the opposite side and pounce on him. Keep repeating the pattern until this smelly fish is sushi. And the Seabed Showdown. Dodge the perilous pearls spit out by the giant clam in Seabed Showdown. He can't jump or roll on this shellfish. The only thing that can hurt him is his own pearl. Is there a way to reflect his shot? It's too bad you can't borrow Link's legendary sword. Yo, the crossover. Yeah, I guess that would be interesting if you were doing like the Ganondorf thing with this guy. You were just DK has to play tennis with this guy's pearl. Don't let the giant clam share his pearls of wisdom with you. Why do his shots bounce off the other shell in the room? What would happen if the pearl slammed back into this giant clam? Yeah, thanks for basically spelling it out for us without actually telling us what to do, but like hinting at it very strongly. Mad mole holes. Time to stomp on this mean mole's patrol. Yo, mole patrol? Give this rodent a migraine by jumping on his head when he tosses his hard hat. I don't know why, but I always thought this mole was, like, female. I want it to be a girl. I don't know. Maybe it's because they remind me of Dilberta from Banjo-Tooie, who is not actually a mole, but is a rat. But otherwise, they look extremely similar. So, I don't know. This deadly digger has a weak spot. He can't see very well. Diddy and Donkey have enough time to switch sides and bounce on him from behind. And finally, K-Rool's Kingdom. Rats are kind of just moles with tails in a way. Sort of. Moles are very cute. I like moles. They're very cute little animals. Well, some of them are very cute, like, and some of them are actually horrifying. Some of them are very strange looking. But, like, the most typical little, like, I don't know, like, bottle-style mole. They got, like, teeny tiny little eyes. King K. Rool's back on the attack. If you finish Donkey Kong Country, you know that you need to jump on his bald head. I mean, he's bald, okay? There's no shame in that. Like, most Kremlings are. Some of them have hair, but that's the exception. Okay, you don't have to, like, dunk on him. But there's a new move. This lousy lizard lunges at you with a bludgeoning belly flop. How do you beat that? He do be jumping, and he is very small. They dunk on his baldness, but they don't point out how small he is, so, you know, small mercies for him. He does look wrong without anything on his head, though. He knows that. You know, Smash Bros, when he loses his crown, he always looks a little silly until he gets it back. Alright, bald. Everybody point and laugh. Oh, baby. They're just, in this next set of pages, they're just telling you where all the bonuses are and just laying it right out for you. Holy crap. Oh no, not the fish again. Not the, like, front-facing fish. My throat. My throat can't handle this. I am not reading all this. Crush is back. Okay, it is nice that they did end up telling you where all the secrets are in these other areas, even though, like, they got, like, kind of a shorter overall walkthrough dedicated to World 3 and World 4, but you still have all the bonus locations. Yeah, I gotta move on. I can't have this fish staring at me anymore. Alright, well that's the end of Donkey Kong Land, everybody. And we will never discuss Donkey Kong Land ever again. But what we will talk about is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Actually, let me see if there's anything else about Donkey Kong Land in this issue. I mean, in this part about rare graphics, they might talk about it again, but, that's all I got for Donkey Kong Land, I guess. It was a good time. We'll miss you, Donkey Kong Land. That's true. We gotta see Cranky's Forbidden Rant in issue 71. We'll do that at the end. Alright, well, I guess we're looking at this now. It does look like, it does look like Earthworm Jim is starring in Doom. It's a interesting juxtaposition there. So this was the first ever E3. You know, this brand new thing that I wonder if it'll catch on and continue to happen. Sadly, not anymore, but I guess sadly, I don't know. I miss E3, I'm not gonna lie. I know it was kind of like falling apart at the end anyway, maybe a little bit, but I miss having like just something to look forward to where you knew there was going to be a bunch of announcements and stuff. But I mean, I guess it's probably for the best that game studios are able to announce things on their own time instead of like having to rush to get some kind of like a vertical slice or some kind of what do they call it? Like, I know there's like a name for it when they put out like an essential like trailer that ends up not being accurate to like what the game actually is, or like the graphics are more advanced than they're gonna end up looking, but it's like bull shots or something like that. So it's probably for the best that game companies don't have to scramble to get something ready by a particular time if they're not ready for it. But I miss it, you know, I miss it. That's true. They did have a lot of issues, and then I remember they had like some kind of data leak or something in one of their last years where they just like leaked out all of the personal info of all the journalists that were attending or whatever, so. I said vertical slice, but there's like a specific term I'm thinking of where it's like a bullshit trailer. Like they essentially make a trailer, but the trailer ends up not being like accurate to the real gameplay or whatever. But anyway. E3 probably did ultimately deserve the death that it got, but for a time it was cool, you know, for a glorious couple decades, I guess. From May 11th through May 13th, the place to be for committed gamers was the Electronic Entertainment Exposition, or E3, in Los Angeles. E3 filled 2 gigantic halls with a jungle of video games systems, live stage shows, hardware and software demos, pounding music, flashing lights, humongous signs winging overhead, bizarre costumed characters dancing the edges of the dancing in the aisles, and enough hot air to float an elephant. 30,000 or so retailers, developers, publishers, and media mavens flocked to the expo from all over the world. Your power team stalked the crowded booths, hunting down the vital news bites concerning the Super NES, Game Boy, Virtual Boy, and the upcoming Nintendo Ultra 64. Yo, this place was frickin' poppin'. Even at night, prowling around the edges of the concert given by Seal at the Nintendo Bash. Yo, Clapper was there. We sniffed out rumors and hints. This was the show. We were there for the big story. What would it be? Nintendo Ultra 64? Saturn? PlayStation? Virtual Boy? The answer may surprise everyone. You know, I bet Nintendo Power isn't going to say that the PlayStation was the big story, even though it probably actually was. The Super NES reigns supreme. The big story at E3 wasn't what anyone expected. Far from conquering the video game world, the next generation games from Sony and Sega didn't even measure up to the quality of... Okay, this might be slightly biased. I mean, you know, take it with a grain of salt. To the Super NES duo of Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. Now, Donkey Kong Country 2 is my favorite game ever. So, you know, I have the same bias, and I'm going to say that DKC2 outshone everything else at this show. But, you know, I don't know what else was actually shown here outside of Nintendo stuff, because that's what we're gonna get in this, is Nintendo stuff. So I don't know what early PlayStation games are being shown off or anything like that, but... against the expensive 32-bit newcomers and their limited and mostly unfinished games, the Super NES, with its strong lineup of games from Nintendo and third-party licenses, looked like a giant killer. You know, we had Earthbound. Earthbound's great. Score these for the Super NES: Killer Instinct, Donkey Kong Country 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Doom, Earthworm Jim 2, Chrono Trigger, okay, one of the best games ever, Secret of Evermore, Castlevania, Dracula X, Tecmo Super Bowl 3, the final... Oh my god, there's so many of these. The final edition, Batman Forever, Primal Rage, Gargoyles, Judge Dredd, the 7th Saga 2. Wouldn't that make it like the 8th Saga, or like the 14th Saga or something? Zoop. What the fuck is Zoop, dude? I feel like that one didn't stand the test of time. Zoop. That's like that one, like, post where people are... It's about, like, moving platforms. It's like, oh, nobody uses Skype anymore. We gotta move on from Discord, too. Get on Florp. Get on Zoop. Madden 96, Phantom 2040, Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, The Mask, NBA Live 96, Urban Strike, Waterworld. Oh, yeah. Waterworld. Great music, though. Nosferatu. Revolution X, Venom, Spider-Man, Separation Anxiety, Boogerman, no thank you. Spot Goes to Hollywood, Earthbound, Run and Gun, Frank Thomas, Big Hurt Basketball. I feel like basketball is not supposed to hurt. I don't know. It's like, if basketball hurts, you're not playing the game right. PTO 2, PGA Tour 96, Pocahontas. And those are just some of the upcoming games for 95. The glut of B titles that scared many publishers out of the 16-bit business last year has dwindled, leaving only the strongest companies still in the game. And the overall quality of games has never looked better. Nintendo's ACM titles, KI and DKC2, look better than anything for the 32-bit systems. Yeah, eat shit. But Doom and MK3 also rival the versions that are appearing on the new platforms, and Earthworm Jim 2 contains some serious special effects. The renaissance of Super NES development will result in one of the best years ever for gamers. I gotta say, it was a pretty good year. Poor Earthbound. Yeah, and poor Klonoa. I do remember that one. I feel like Klonoa was a lot like Goemon, where they just had no idea how to market it to the West at all. All the ads for Goemon were like, we don't know what the fuck this game is about, but he's got blue hair. Killer Instinct. You know what? That's related. That's closely related enough to Donkey Kong Country. We'll read about that. Killer Instinct for the Super NES brings an amazingly sophisticated arcade game to the home platform and delivers a knockout. Most of the characters and moves have been retained in the Super NES KI. That's to be expected. What blew minds at E3 was the quality of the graphics. If you thought Donkey Kong Country was awesome last year, You'll see that Rare learned a thing or two since then. For dramatic action, total challenge, and beautifully rendered ACM graphics, nothing beats Killer Instinct. I've never played Killer Instinct. I'm not a fighting game person. I've never played any Killer Instinct game, actually. I should try one out sometime. Alright, here's the main event, though. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest! If you want your awesome graphics in a platform game, Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest sets a new standard. As good as DKC was last year, DKC 2 beats it. That's true. Unlike Donkey Kong Land, I would say that Donkey Kong Country 2 is better than Donkey Kong Country. I can agree with that one. Diddy's new companion, Dixie, adds a new dimension to the gameplay because the two characters can use each other for special moves. One of the marvels of DKC 2 is the lifelike hair. I guess so. When I think about why I love DKC 2 so much, I'm not like, oh my god, the hair technology? I mean, I guess Dixie's hair was animated really well. I guess that's true. You know how people are still obsessed with, like, making hair realistic in games, and that's, like, one of the things when you hear about, like, oh man, the new graphics in this new remade version of The Last of Us or whatever, the hair is better. They should have just gone back and looked at Donkey Kong Country 2. Apparently that was the peak of hair technology. The lifelike hair, which has been rendered using a new alias power animator feature that manipulates thousands of computer-generated particles, or in this case hairs, at the same time. I guess the renders for, like, the Kong's fur was a lot better than in DKC, but you couldn't really see that except in, like, you know, the actual renders of the official art. Like, you couldn't, in the game, it was not any different. Like, you couldn't tell the difference. It's the first program ever to create natural-looking hair animation for computer-generated characters. But that is just one of the stunning effects Rare has used in this game. Like, a third of this thing about DKC 2 is about hair. I was not expecting that. But that's just one of the stunning effects Rare has used in this game, and the play surpasses that of the original DKC. To be considered second to KI would be an honor for virtually any video game in existence except Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, which is its equal! Alright. I thought this next part was also about DKC 2, but that actually goes on from the, like, Doom part. I'm not reading about Doom. Alright. So actually, like, 50% of this was about hair or more. Like, 60% of this was about the hair technology. Okay, sure. DKC 2. Great hair. Advanced monkey fur and Dixie ponytail. Alright, let's see. What do we have next here? Bomberman's over there. Hey, we got more about Donkey Kong Land, actually. Okay. I'm not gonna read everything here, but... You know what, I'm going to read the Bomberman, I mean, not the Bomberman section. Well, it is the section that has Bomberman in it, but I'm going to read the Virtual Boy section. Virtual Boy took center stage in the Nintendo booth with big screen demos and hands-on units. Nintendo announced that Virtual Boy... Did the music stop? Hold on. Nintendo announced that Virtual Boy would go on sale August 14th at the suggested retail price of $179.95, including a pack-in game. Just which game will be packed in this system isn't known yet. But it will be Tellero Boxer, Galactic Pinball, or Red Alarm, a 3D polygon shooter along the lines of Star Fox. A golf game made by T&E Soft and Mario's Tennis were not as finished as the first three, but should follow the introduction within a month or two. Mr. Yokoi from Nintendo Company Limited, the man who designed Virtual Boy, held a virtual classroom for 30 students from the Orville Wright Middle School in Westchester, California during the show. Oh man, lucky them. Along with Alan Becker of Reflection Technology Inc. and Jim Merrick of NOAA, Mr. Yokoi answered questions after the science students previewed the 3D immersive system. On the licensee front for Virtual Boy, there weren't many games being shown. Hudson Soft demonstrated 2 titles, Panic, Bomberman VB, and Vertical Force. Panic is a puzzle game along the lines of Bombliss, while Vertical Force adds 3D depth to a vertically shooting scroller. Kimco's Virtual League Basketball was shown in its Japanese form. Unfortunately, the demo didn't allow players to get a hit, and most people walked away thinking they just experienced the ultimate strikeout pitcher. Wait, why did they have a demo of a basketball game that didn't allow people, a baseball game, that didn't allow people to like, actually hit the ball? Like, what the hell? You can demo the baseball game, but they hadn't actually, like, implemented the hitting the ball technology yet. So you just get, like, a strike every time. Awesome. Alright. ACM for Game Boy. The biggest news for Game Boy players is Donkey Kong Land, the first ACM game for Game Boy and Super Game Boy. Rare performed the same magic on DKL as they did last year on Donkey Kong Country. Only this time they had to reduce the palette of millions of colors down to 4 instead of 256. Equally impressive is the Game Boy version of Killer Instinct. As one reporter said, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it. Alright, well... yeah, one thing in that Paul Makachek interview, is that he said that, like, once they had the technology, essentially for, like, compressing the full renders down to the SNES, it wasn't actually that much more complicated to, like, you know, like, developing that technology of, like, simplifying the sprites, like, from the renders into a sprite was difficult, but once they had that, it wasn't, like, that much harder to just simplify it down, crunch it down even further onto, like, Game Boy stuff. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but, Paul Makachek, that is a Czech name, like mine. You know, what have Czech people contributed to the world? Kolaches, Donkey Kong Land, and me. Oh no. two out of 3 ain't bad. Alright. I am going to see what else is relevant in this issue. Okay. Tangent about Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby. So, every year I compete in this community event in a community I'm in, I Ate Your Pie's community, and it's called Discord Wars, and it's always, like, 2 teams. It's sort of inspired by, like, Splatfests. So, like, last year, for instance, it was fantasy versus sci-fi, and I was on Team Fantasy, and Victor was on Team Sci-Fi. And it's basically just, like, you're on a team, and you have to do various gaming events to earn points for your team. And I've been doing this for many years now. In fact, I've made the art for it a couple times now. The year before, it was pancakes versus waffles. Me and Victor were both on Team Waffles. Anyway, years ago, they had Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby as one of the challenges, and Victor has beaten it fully. And you have to, you know, the thing about that game is you actually are supposed to make it easier for yourself by, like, unlocking upgrades, of course. And the challenge is to do it without any upgrades, in which case it's, like, one of the hardest games ever made. But Victor has beaten the full Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby challenge of beating Christopher Robin with no upgrades. I have not. The furthest I ever got was, like, to Owl or Tigger or something, I don't remember, but, yeah, Victor is actually, like, a god gamer. He has done the thing. He has done the full Winnie the Pooh experience twice, I believe. I think he's fully succeeded at it twice. So, in case you wanted to know fun facts about Victor's gaming skills. I do not want to see Booger Man. Get out of here. Disgusting. Alright, here we go. This is the next thing. The next thing we'll be looking at is this, let's see, what page is this? 41? Alright. We are looking at Rare's graphical technology here. Sorry, Booger Man, you gross me out. Gotta recover my throat again. The incredible 3D graphics created by Rare for Donkey Kong Country stunned the world last year, but that was just the beginning. This year, 2 new Nintendo games will surpass DKC in special graphics effects. Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest, and its incredible hair technology. The techniques used to create the amazing effects are called Advanced Computer Modeling, or ACM. These games may look like magic on the tube, but behind the screen you'll find some visionary programmers in the most advanced game development studio in the world. Yeah, I wouldn't say yes to Victor's proposal until he proved his worth by beating Christopher Robin. Alright, defining Advanced Computer Modeling, ACM. We went straight to the source for the background on ACM, to Rare Limited in Twycross, England, and Tim Stamper, Managing Director of Rare and the leading light behind the leading, like, make him sound like some kind of, like, holy figure, like he's the priest of ACM. The leading light behind the development of Donkey Kong Country and Killer Instinct. Tim defines advanced computer modeling as the use of 3D graphics for every element in a game. ACM may be summed up in a short sentence, but the process of developing games using ACM didn't just fall out of a tree. Tim, his brother Chris, and the team members at Rare began experimenting with new graphics techniques about 4 years ago. Many people wondered at the time what Rare was up to. One of the most prolific developers for the NES had suddenly become very quiet. In a period of 2 years, their only notable Super NES product was Battletoads and Battle Maniacs. Tim admits now that he was looking beyond 16-bit platforms. He wanted Rare to lead the way toward more advanced games. At the time, no one thought that a 16-bit machine could deliver the sort of performance required by advanced 3D graphics. True, yeah, my most impressive gaming achievement was one time being the world record holder for Scooby-Doo Mystery on the Super Nintendo, which is now no longer true. I'm like 4th or 5th or further. I haven't checked in a while. But you know, for a glorious moment, the Rare team began studying 3D visualization. That's too hard for me with my post-flu brain fog. I can't say that word. Visualization tools for Apple Macintosh computers about 4 years ago. Many of the graphics packages gave good results, but nothing as spectacular as what Rare had in mind. According to Tim, it wasn't until we got our first Silicon graphics workstation with Alias software that we fully realized what could be created with this type of computer power. Yeah, eat shit, Apple. You weren't good enough for us. We needed a Silicon graphics workstation. We then began transferring some of our early 3D images into the products, although at this stage you would only see the odd graphic that was rendered as opposed to DKC and KI, where everything in there has been rendered. It took about another year's research and development before we were able to squeeze all of the memory-intensive 3D rendered visuals into one product, Donkey Kong Country. 5th? Alright, you know what, I'll take it. The conceptual breakthrough came in 2 areas. First, Rare saw that it was possible to create a fully rendered game instead of just using a few 3D objects. The programmers later realized that the fully rendered Silicon graphics images still looked great on lesser computer systems, and even on mass-market video game systems like the Super NES. As you can see in this issue's Donkey Kong Land review, the ACM technique can be used effectively even for Game Boy graphics. In fact, the Super NES has enough power and special effects capabilities that it has proven to be an excellent platform for Rare's advanced game environments. I feel like I'm shifting into like a nerdy voice slightly, reading about all this stuff. Under the skin, all ACM characters are created with wireframe skeletons. Texture maps are rendered onto the wireframes for the final appearance. Yeah, you can see Diddy's naked wireframe body up there. I need to get myself some more water, I think, but I'll wait a little bit. I should just read this whole thing in like the nerdiest voice I can. The ACM technique begins with artists modeling game elements on Silicon graphics hardware using 3D software such as Alias's Power Animator. The photorealistic elements include characters, backgrounds, objects, literally everything you see in the game world. Alright. This differs from traditional game graphics in which most elements appear as 2D paint or digitized images. Why does my music keep going out on me? At Rare, an artist first creates a sketch of a character on paper. Yeah, like the ones we saw from Kev Bayless. Once the artist and game designer agree on the appearance, it goes to the 3D artist who creates a wireframe model of the character. Generally, they use an Indigo 2 workstation at this point. Although the Indigo series is at the lower end of the Silicon Graphics Inc. family of computers, it is still more powerful than all but the most powerful PCs and Macs. The wireframe model can be moved or have parts repositioned to create initial frames of animation as well. The next step is to send the wireframe images or series of animation files to more powerful computers, such as the Challenge XL or Challenge L, where the images are rendered with realistic-looking textures and light sources into a final, apparently solid 3D image. Tim Stamper has a lot to smile about. His vision of what video games could become has paid off for the biggest Super NES hit of all time. That is, until DKC2 and KI hit the streets this year. A programmer's best friend is his SGI. What else? Who is this? Who is this guy at the bottom here? I don't know how to recognize rare programmers by their face alone, especially like 30 years ago, most of the time. Is that still Tim Stamper? I don't think it's the same person. Yo, wait, look at they got like dogs out there. In the rare offices, they just had like German shepherds running around on the grounds. That's cool. If you worked at Rare, you got some like free dogs into the bargain that you could just like hang out with when you were at work. That's awesome. No wonder they were making such good games. They had some pets. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be like Super Mario World and Super Mario All-Stars maybe, which were admittedly the first two games that I ever owned on the Super Nintendo. Technically, that's not true. I think the second game I ever owned was Kirby's Dream Course, and then I had Super Mario All-Stars. Not only do ACM games look great, they sound great too. The Killer Instinct CD that will be packaged with the first 2 million game packs was recorded at Air Studios. Oh hey, look! It's some of Greg Mails's famous sticky notes that he used for planning out levels. He still has like so many of those. He's preserved a lot of them. I just like looking at these like behind the scenes images. Who is that? Like, is that like Robin Beanland? I wonder. Composing the Killer Instinct soundtrack. You can't see because they're turned away from the camera, but the person in like the purple shirt up there. Well, cause Diddy, it's Valentine's Day, and Diddy's like, "Yo, Spinal, check out my hot girlfriend," and Spinal's like, "Whoa, congrats, you really scored a good one, Diddy. Good for you." He's like, "Look at her advanced hair technology. My girlfriend has the coolest, most advanced hair you've ever seen." And Spinal's like, "That's true." Yeah, I don't really understand how the quality of the soundtracks ties into the graphics here. That's really a completely separate thing. But rendered graphics 101. Please, music. Just, you know what? I'm gonna take it off shuffle because I think that's what's causing it to keep stopping. If you've been reading Power over the last year, you've heard us talk a lot about fully rendered computer games. So what does rendered mean? It basically means that the computer builds or renders the final image from pieces specified by the artist. Beginning with the wireframe, the artist will specify a texture that overlays a skeleton of wire. Yeah? Think of this as the skin. The surface may be as simple as a smooth single-color texture map, or as complex as the fine hair on Diddy Kong and DKC2. He does have pretty fine hair. I mean, if you look at that render over there, his hair is pretty damn nice compared to like the jump between DKC and DKC2 in the hair texturing was pretty huge, I gotta say. So I mean, I understand, but again, it doesn't really come into play in the game itself. Like, you can't really tell the difference in the hair texture when you're actually playing the game. But I mean, the official art does look a lot better. The movement of individual hairs is calculated by a function of Power Animator that mimics what happens when a force like moving air acts on particles. That was pretty advanced for 1995, I gotta say. Next, the artist may want to create a light source that shines on the object or many light sources or shadows. One effect for creating these lighting effects is called ray tracing. Whoa, they had ray tracing back in 1995. But we're just now getting to do that in, like, real time in games, like, 30 years later. The computer traces a line from an object to a specified light source, altering the textured surfaces it encounters along the way so that they are properly lighted or shadowed. Take a look at this month's power cover. The fully rendered scene includes objects and backgrounds, special effects like the reflecting bubbles and shadows that look as if the light is filtering through the water. Animated sequences can also be rendered frame by frame. The complexity of this rendering task requires that you use very sophisticated and very fast computers like those in the Challenge family from Silicon Graphics Inc. A series of frames that might take 25 minutes to render on an Indigo 2 workstation would take only 5 minutes on the Challenge XL. Digital dancing. The illusion of 3D that you see with ACM characters is only complete once they're animated, because that's when you see them from different angles, just as you would see a real person moving and turning in front of you. Rare has used 2 methods to create animation for its ACM games. For DKC, the process began with a trip to the zoo, where the game designers and artists studied the movements of gorillas, rhinos, ostriches, and so forth. And crocodile men with nipples. Back at the studio, they recreated what they had seen using the wireframe models. One wonders where they found a model for the flying pigs that appear in DKL. Flying pig mention, you know, if I was drinking right now because I wasn't sick, I would drink every time they mentioned the flying pigs. The animation frames are created by moving the limbs of the wireframe model to certain key points in relation to a particular activity. Alright, I'm wondering if I need to read this whole thing. You know what? We might as well. If you want to create frames of animation showing Diddy walking, you can move the key point from a backward to a forward position. The computer then figures out all the frames between the key points to create the smooth motion of Diddy's leg in motion. Of course, most animations in Rare's ACM games contain more than just the basics. As Diddy walks, every part of him seems to be moving. Eyebrows lifting, tail bobbing, arms swinging. Once the motion has been set, the artist lets the computer take over and render the frames. At this level of animation, there will be more frames and can be squeezed into the memory of a Super NES game pack. According to Stem Tamper, reducing the number of animation frames so they don't eat up too much game memory while maintaining the smooth motion has been the most difficult part of creating Super NES ACM games like DKC2 and KI. The second method for creating lifelike animation, and the method that was used to create Killer Instinct, is a more sophisticated technique called motion capture. This involves dressing an actor in a special suit that contains sensors. They should have used motion capture on the animals at the zoo. They should have been like, hey, can we get in there? And then they put some those little motion capture balls on a rhino. This involves dressing an actor in a special suit that contains sensors that link to an SGI workstation. The wireframe model is loaded into the computer, and whatever physical activity is performed by the actor in the suit is then mimicked by the wireframe. In this way, you can create completely realistic movements. The crayon box. Another challenge for Rare comes from the difference in color palettes between an SGI computer and the Super NES. The original 24-bit SGI image with up to 16.8 million colors must be reduced to 256 colors for the Super NES. Although that may seem like a mind-boggling task, keep in mind that most images don't use anywhere near 16 million colors. Most of the color differences are minor shading variations. Rare developed a proprietary method that reduces many colors into relatively few. The trick is to maintain key colors with enough subtlety to emphasize shadow and lighting effects, which in turn helps to create the illusion of 3D. What's next? We asked Tim Stamper about the future of ACM games on the Super NES. I think the only thing preventing us from making further advances on ACM games will be the size of the game packs and the memory available to us, Tim commented. On the other hand, there will always be superior methods of compression that will come along to supersede current software. This will allow us to squeeze even better visuals, audio, and gameplay onto a Super NES game. Or a SNES game. Killer Instinct on the Super NES is a great example of this. A step beyond. All of the techniques described here are not just being used for Super NES games. ACM is the backbone of Nintendo Ultra 64 development as well, but on an even more impressive scale. Tim Stamper sees the new 64 representing the future of video games. In fact, all of the special editing tools that were developed for creating 16-bit ACM games have been enhanced for the new 64. We think it's going to be the world's #1 home video game system, he says. If that proves to be true, then Rare and its eye-popping ACM games will be a big part of the reason. Sorry, got some bad news for you guys about the PlayStation. In the end, it isn't how great the hardware is, but how great the games look and play. Diddy, Dixie, and Spinal all began as 3D wireframe images. Spinal's animation frames are based on real human motion, while the others just ape reality. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I mean, Rare was carrying the N64 on their back to a large degree, but it wasn't good enough, unfortunately, for them to be the true champions. But, you know, I was a Nintendo 64 kid, so. It is kind of creepy knowing that the Skeleton Man was, like, the movements of a real human, you know? Alright, well, that's all for this. Because next we have... Yo, it's Keith! Actually, maybe this is relevant to the Kremling Kronology. Nosferatu! There he is. Chrono Trigger, another one of my very favorite games ever. But this isn't the Kremling Chrono Triggerology, unfortunately. There's Magus, my beloved. But yeah, there's like a whole JRPG section here. Wonder Project J, the original. I don't know if Victor's watching right now, but the original pisses me off. Let's see what else we got in here. Earthbound. Demon's Crest. Love Demon's Crest. Bubsy. Don't love Bubsy. Just looking to see if there's any other relevant Donkey Kong stuff in here, but I don't think there is. Hey Stuart, how's it going? We've been reading all about how Rare developed graphics in the mid-90s. It's been fun. I was super into the Animaniacs as a little kid, but I never played any Animaniacs games. I remember I had like a Dot shirt when I was like a little kid that said like the cute one or something. All right. Yo, a challenge for Donkey Kong Country. Can you grab 500 gold bonus statues in 99 seconds? How about 525 using On Guard? So you have, if you accomplish this, which I'm sure I could do, and send in, you would win power stamps. I don't know what power stamps are. I guess if you collect enough Nintendo power stamps, you could like trade them in for something, I guess. And then you could also get your name here, maybe. Congrats to these people. Okay, we got more Donkey Kong Land stuff. It's not over yet. Power stamps or coupons for the catalog? Okay, cool. I never actually had Nintendo Power as a kid, so you know, I don't know about all this stuff. the only gaming magazine I ever had was Game Informer because back when GameStop came to my town for the first time, when I was like in early high school, I would go there a lot. And like one time, you know, they were always forced to try to sell you a Game Informer subscription. And like the person asking me was just like clearly so like sad about it that they had to ask me. It was like a teenager about my age or a little bit older. And they were just like, do you want a subscription to Game Informer? And I like felt bad for them, so I was like, sure, I'll get a subscription to Game Informer. It was like really cheap too. I don't know, it was like $10 for a year or something. Like they would just like fucking throw it in. So I ended up with a subscription to Game Informer for a little while in high school. But I did remember that was like the year that Super Smash Bros. Brawl was coming out. So I like cut out some advertisements from the magazine and hung them on my wall. Used them as like little posters. Smash Bros. Brawl was coming out. I remember they had like some stuff on Super Paper Mario because that had just come out. And I like cut out those screenshots as well and also like taped them up on my desk. Alright, I need to take another break and get some more water. When we come back, we will be looking at this, and then we're gonna go back to the Donkey Kong Land pamphlet and take a look at what it had to say about DKC2, since we skipped past that last time. And then we don't have too much else left in today's stream. It's gonna be a little bit of a shorter one, but I'm still like a little bit sick, so that makes sense. But yeah, we've still got a little bit left to cover. But we will get to that when I get back from this break, so see ya. That took a little bit longer than expected because I went upstairs to talk to Victor, and guess what got here? The Virtual Boy got here. The one that I was just talking about. The Switch Virtual Boy, the Switch 2 Virtual Boy. We didn't open it yet, but the package is here, so I will show that off on stream at some point. And, you know, I was saying earlier, I've never played a Virtual Boy game in my life, but I'm gonna play all of them now, I guess. So, but I also wanted to show you some little things that aren't directly related to the Kremling Kronology, but it's sort of adjacent because they're crocodiles. But I also got these recently at the same used game store where I got these magazines. So here's little friend, and then their siblings. And you may ask, did I get a Totodile as well? But no, they did not have a Totodile. So next best thing. But I love this guy the best actually because he is doing the "you know I had to do it to him" pose, and it's very funny. Like, look at him. He's like, what? I don't know why he's making this pose, but it's very good, and I love him a lot. But you know, Krocodile, one of my favorite Pokemon, and I do not have any Crocodile things. I don't have a Crocodile plushie or anything like that, so this is my first little Crocodile. But yeah, I got these siblings and their adopted brother as well, but here they are. But I love them a lot. Yeah, I have a Sandile plushie. It's right here, actually. Oop. I've had this for a very long time. Actually, Victor bought this for me when we had only been dating for like probably like less than a year. Because I got this like, and he like ordered it from Japan. Because this is actually like right after Black and White came out. I think he got this for me, and it was higher quality, or I don't even know if they had like American Sandile plushies at the time, but this is like higher quality than the ones I saw back then that they did start selling in like Target or whatever. But I've had this guy for like a really long time. He's very special to me because he was a very early present from Victor, and so that's why he's sitting up there. But I remember I took him on like a vacation that I went on with my family like right after I got him, and I took a lot of pictures with him in like various places. Yes. Sound effect, and then we will get back to the magazine. That is a Clomp stomping around with his peg leg. Sadly, this is just one off from Clomp Die, and you know what that one is, but sadly we missed that one by one. Alas. Okay, let's get back to Nintendo Power. It's Donkey Kong Land. It's 4 whole megabits. That's like twice as big as Animaniacs on the Game Boy. Donkey and Diddy debut on Super Game Boy with an awesome ACM action romp. Rare's ACM techniques work miracles at the Game Boy level just as they do on the Super NES. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong launch into an entirely new adventure with spectacular Super Game Boy graphics and music. Yeah, I guess they're like advertising here that, you know, if you play it on the Super Game Boy, you get the different color palettes and the, you know, the border or whatever. The amazing part of DKL is that Rare was able to take high-end rendered animation and reduce it to a palette of 4 colors. This really is incredible stuff. As for the game, expect the playstyle to be similar to that of Donkey Kong Country. 46 bonus areas are hidden throughout the games, 30 regular stages. You'll also have to battle 4 bosses. The maps in DKL are all new, and several backgrounds never even appeared in the Super NES game. Some of the coolest new characters include Flying Pigs. Flying Pigs! I would have to drink again. God. And a Nautilus shell named Nemo. I guess they're pretty cool, I guess. I guess. This month, Nintendo Power gives players the winning strategies for barreling through Donkey Kong Land. Plus, great graphics and excellent play control, all new stages, battery-packed up memory. Minus, no 2-player option. That's true. No, you can't whip out your link cable and play 2-player Donkey Kong Land. Alright, what else do we have here? Alright, we got a little bit more about Donkey Kong Country 2, and Yoshi's Island, which, another fantastic game. I gotta whip out my actual copy of the magazine again, I think. Alright. Yeah, so you might notice there that this is the original version of the title screen, which looks a bit different than it ended up looking. Also, yeah, this is unusual too, but if you look at the Lava Lagoon screenshot there, it's a little hard to see it, but here, maybe zoom in a bit. But somehow Dixie, this scan is just fucking terrible, but it looks a lot better on my copy. Somehow Dixie has made it to Lava Lagoon, but there's still like Kremling heads, so like if you look at like Hothead Hop and Cannon's Claim here, even though they must have gotten past those levels, they still have Kremling heads on them instead of like the Kong heads. And I don't know what these random like orbs are. Honestly, looking at it on my copy does not make it any more clear. But oh, I guess they were like oh, that's interesting because that's like where the like Kongs and like Clubba would be, but they didn't have graphics for them yet, so they're just like orbs, I guess, because that's like where you would find like Wrinkly and Cranky and Clubba and Swanky and so on. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, they just had like little orb placeholders instead of having the various sprites for the different like NPCs, I guess. That's neato. And yeah, we have the crow. You were fighting like creepy crow in the place where you would fight, you know, regular alive crow. Yeah, lots of interesting unfinished stuff here, but I guess these other 2 screenshots here don't particularly look like, I don't notice anything out of the ordinary there. Nothing immediately noticeable anyway. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because it makes me wonder, and I don't know if there's any info out there about this, and maybe we'll find it when we're looking into, like, beta stuff on DKC2, or the concept art and stuff. Hi, Jeff. Jeff, maybe you know this, but, like, do you know if, like, there was originally just supposed to be one crow boss fight, and then they decided to split it into two while having you actually, like, fight Crow while he was alive, and then you kill him, and then later he's a ghost? Cause maybe, I don't know, that's, like, if you think about it, like, maybe they wanted to have another boss, but they ran out of time, so they just reused Crow. But, like, that's the most interesting possible way to do something like that. Because instead of just having, like, a refight against him, you have a refight against him, but he's fucking dead. Like, he just died. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do not get the pun in the title of Diddy's Kong Quest, and they think it's Diddy Kong's Quest, which was actually the original title of the game, before they decided to make it better and make it into a cool pun. But a lot of people don't get the pun still, which is sad. And I remember, like, someone once in a community I'm in said that they thought the title was bad because I guess it could be too easily misinterpreted and they didn't understand the pun, so they thought the title of this game... I was about to throw hands. Like, when they insulted the name Diddy's Conquest and they said it was terrible, I was about to get mad, but I let it go. I let it pass because I don't feel like getting into arguments on the internet most of the time. But let's read about this. The world, I was about to throw hooks, yeah. The world was swept away with Donkey Kong Country last year. With 7 million copies sold worldwide in 6 months, it is the biggest video game hit ever! They keep saying that, but okay, I don't know if that's true. This November, the world will be ready when Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest reaches the stores. Or will it be ready? The title screen below shows an early version. It was taken before the name changed. Rare has done an even more stupendous, eye-popping, jaw-dropping job with the ACM techniques. DKC2 features new effects like moving hair, again with the hair! Courtesy of Alias's latest version of Power Animator. I'm surprised that, like, every copy of DKC2, like, the box art didn't come with, like, a little, like, you know, you got, like, the Nintendo seal of quality, and then they have a different seal that was, like, you know, the Nintendo seal of, like, hair technology. On the back of the box, it was just, like, the most advanced hair ever. When was the last time you saw hair on a video game character that actually looked and behaved like the real thing? Obviously, the Super NES is still a match for any video game system. As for the story, K. Rool's Kremling cronies have captured Donkey Kong, hauled him off to their island hideaway, and locked him up without any bananas. The swine! Okay, no, that was Donkey Kong Land. Donkey Kong Land was the swine, okay? They're crocodiles. Now is Diddy's moment of truth. The little ape and his new friend, Dixie Kong. Well, I think they're more than friends, but alright. Track a trail of bananas from a pirate ship through swamps, haunted forests, beehives, volcanoes, the even braver roller coaster. The game design follows the same rules set down in DKC. Players can switch between Diddy and Dixie, animal friends help in certain areas, bonus areas are hidden everywhere, and bosses wait at strategic points. The game also features some cool new moves, including the ability of each of the main characters to hurl the other at enemies. I am glad we'll talk about, like, the Clubba fight that never was when we talk about DKC2 concept stuff, but I'm glad we didn't have to fight Clubba. Well, you can fight him. You can choose to have him attack you with his club, but I think I don't really know how that would have worked out story-wise. And again, we'll probably talk about that more when we look at the concepts, but I guess it would have been more like Clubba is trying to keep the Kongs away from the sacred site of Crocodile Core, even though, like he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Like, they paid him off to get in there, but then he's like, you know what? Oh shit, I really shouldn't have let them in there. This is bad. They shouldn't be here. What happens if you wear a cloak? Good question. I think you would be possessed, probably. I think that, like, you would be possessed by the spirit of Cloak and be able to summon boxes and go, ha ha ha. Yeah, Kimco. I mean, it's Kremco baseball, because K. Rool loves baseball. And so does Screech, because he's always hitting people with his baseball bat. Yeah, I mean, if you'd had to fight Klubba, that would have made him a much more, like, villainous character than he actually ends up being, which is someone a little bit more of a morally gray character. But if you had to fight him, that would be like, you know, he was just kind of like taking your money only to try and actually like defeat you in the end. But I gotta say, as cool as like a fight with him would have potentially been, I mean, we essentially got that with Cudgel anyway. And I like Klubba being how he is, you know, I like him just like he is. I'm glad. Yeah, I guess they didn't have any previews of Yoshi's Island at E3, because it's over here saying Nintendo didn't put all of its eggs in the E3 basket, as the appearance of Yoshi's Island proves. Kind of interesting. Yeah, I guess they redid the graphics. So they didn't feel necessarily ready to show it off too much yet. Alright, we're almost done with this magazine, but, we got Zoop. Here's what Zoop is. I gotta say, I've never heard of this game in my life. But there it is. There's Zoop. It is kind of interesting, because, like, if Klubba had been the final boss, that means you wouldn't get the rematch with K. Rool either, so, like, the game would just end with, like, K. Rool fucking getting eaten by sharks, and that's, like... like, you wouldn't know otherwise. You wouldn't know if he survived or not. And maybe they would have just killed him, like... Imagine like that being the ending, and then in DKC3, like, it is just chaos and there's no Baron K. Roolenstein or anything. It's like, K. Rool's fucking dead. Alright, I think that is about it. We are gonna go back and... I do want to look at the back of this again, because it's very, I just love this ad. It's like, they're looking at Diddy Kong on the computer, but Diddy Kong is actually right there, right next to you in real life as well. And, Boss Dum Drum is also there, or maybe just some other, like, toxic barrel, but you just can't believe, the power of Diddy Kong coming at you. Alright, I am going to open that little thingy from last time again. The old Donkey Kong Land booklet. With our favorite little ram friend here. Alright, here we go. Diddy's Conquest. Kong napped. It was inevitable, really, that Rare, having achieved Donkey Kong Country, would create a sequel that was both bigger and more splendid than the original. But who could imagine that such a thing was possible? Nevertheless, they've done it. You can see how far Rare have come with their advanced computer modeling technique just by looking at Super NES Killer Instinct. Their talents for creating superb gameplay have become more apparent in Donkey Kong Land 2. Bearing these points in mind, you now know why Donkey Kong Land 2, Diddy's Kong... Now, wait a second. Donkey Kong Land 2, Diddy's Conquest. I mean, Donkey Kong Land 2 is essentially just DKC 2 again, but, you know. Yeah, I was wondering why the Hive screenshot is black and white. I don't know. Anyway. I got distracted. I got majorly distracted by Donkey Kong Land 2, Diddy's Conquest. Is destined to become even bigger than its predecessor. Let's look at what makes Part 2 so mouthwatering. Improved ACM technology. Rare's long-term experience with Silicon graphics workstations has allowed their continuous refinement of ACM technology. They have now reached a stage where textures are so realistic that they've even managed to grace Diddy Kong with realistic-looking hair. They were so obsessed with the hair, dude. Advances have also enabled them to completely redesign the Kremlings, the Kong clan's arch enemies, so they now parade in pirate costumes and like, okay, first of all, I don't think they needed technological advancements to redesign the Kremlings to be pirates, but okay. The technology they had at the time of Donkey Kong Country could apparently not handle pirates. Like, pirates are just too cool. You needed to advance the graphics a little bit before you could reach the high levels required to have, like, peg legs and, you know, like, hooks that they could throw, I guess. Dreams are made of this. Just a few more things you may want to ponder between now and November. Alongside the beehive... Oh, I guess I need to read the beehive first. This scan is gonna make it really annoying to read this, but alright. Sweetness and light. More stunning effects are seen in the beehive section of the game, where honey oozes down the screen in the foreground while grub jiggle away in the honeycombed background. Again, I don't know why this is black and white, but okay. Compare how pixelated traditional 16-bit graphics usually are, and marvel at the difference. It really does look incredibly photorealistic. I don't know, like... Maybe they were pulling like a Donkey Kong Land thing, where it's like, hey, you know, even though the graphics are simpler, this game is still so good. So they're like, hey, even though it's in black and white, it's still, look at how impressive it looks. Anyway, just a few more things you may want to ponder between now and November. Alongside the beehive, locations in Diddy's Conquest feature a spooky haunted forest, treacherous swamps, and lava-filled caves. New characters include a tennis shoe-clad spider and Slinky Snake. Whoa, 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 that's capitalized. Was Radley's original name Slinky Snake? I did not know that. They didn't have Squidder's name here, but we do have Slinky Snake. Who are there to help out in the same way as Ramby, Espresso, and Co. Slinky Snake. Interesting. Slinky Shanty. I mean, that is a good name for him. It's honestly probably a better fitting one than Radley, because he doesn't have a rattle. He's not actually a rattlesnake. But, like, I guess they didn't want to get sued by, like, the Slinky company, whoever owns Slinkies. This guy's... Honestly, when I was reading that at first, I thought it said Stinky Snake, but fortunately it does not say Stinky Snake. Whistle Dixie. So far, the only insight we have into the new style of gameplay is the appearance of Dixie, Diddy's female sidekick. They work together by Diddy... Why does this song seem extra loud? I mean, it should be. It deserves to be, but... Calm down a little bit. Alright. They work together by Diddy lifting his new friend up to higher reaches and making the most of Dixie's ponytail, which doubles as a propeller. Yeah, it's that hair technology. Dixie's golden locks are also used as slingshot barrels, cannonballs, and such about the place. She even treats Diddy this way. When cornered, the ponytail... What a power couple. She even throws her boyfriend around. When cornered, the ponytail serves as a powerful whip to keep enemies at bay. Her hobbies, according to Nintendo, are blowing bubbles and mixing banana milkshakes. I'm sorry, Dixie, but you gotta get better hobbies. I don't think blowing bubbles with your bubblegum is a, like, very interesting hobby, but... I mean, her bubbles are pretty impressive. And I was always bad at blowing bubbles with bubblegum, so you know what? I'm just jealous. I gotta admit it. I'm sorry. You're still in time for a little bit of peek. We're pretty much at the end of the stuff I wanted to look at today, but we did learn that Radley's original name was Slinky Snake. Gum is kind of gross. I don't like gum much either, cause then you gotta, like, it just gets all, like, gross and spit-filled, and then you gotta, like, spit it out. But people always, you know, the thing that always bothered me about gum is when people don't put it in the trash and they just stick it, like, under desks or elsewhere, and, not a fan. I always got grossed out by other people's spit. We looked at this last time. Okay. But yeah, I mean, really, that's... Oh, we have to go look. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta find Nintendo Power 71 so we can see what Cranky said. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Why do I have 2 window captures open? Get out of here. Nintendo Power issue 71. Sometimes they're not like on the Internet Archive and I might have to like download it or something. Okay, this one is. There we go. Okay, it's this thing again. Oh my god, this is like blinding. Whoa. Actually, hold on. Stargate, yeah, I don't know. What do we have in here? There's banana bucks, whatever that is. Let's see, cranky. Oh, there he is, alright. I'm writing about this new game, Donkey Kong Country. What kind of a name is that? And I bet it took years just to come up with the thing. Boy, I could think of an even better name in 10 seconds tops. What happens when you make a sequel? Super Donkey Kong Country? What an enormous name! The other day, I was skimming through the instruction booklet, and I noticed something. In the DKC Atlas, it shows my grandson in a minecart, if I'm not mistaken. Above him, there's a sign that reads, Lost Mines. If there's a sign that tells you where you are, then how can you be lost? You whippersnappers and Nintendo don't even know what you're talking about. You guys really messed up this time. What's with Squawks and his blinking flashlight? Okay, no, he is correct on this one. Lights like that could give an old guy like me a seizure. It's just too much for my poor old eyes. If I had the frames of animation, I'd walk down to Nintendo and pop you one in the kisser. Cranky was actually just ahead of being concerned for people who have flashing light sensitivity, which honestly, it took game developers a really long time to have adequate sensitivity around that. So you know what? W for Cranky. He was, you know, he thinks Squawks is bad. He hasn't even met Glimmer yet. You know what? Reading about the mines made me think about Bullionville, I guess. Just, you know. I love, I don't know, I love his Lost Mines complaint, because that's like such a, I don't know, it's such like a minor, it's like a real CinemaSins complaint. It's like, it's kind of funny, but it's like such a small observation to make. You know, why didn't Cranky point that out in the instruction manual, since he was already, like, interjecting into the instruction manual anyway? If he had such a hot take about it, why didn't he just pop in there and say that? Once again, we humbly bow to all the knowing Cranky Kong, to the all-knowing Cranky Kong. Pay attention, young gamers, and you shall be enlightened. Cranky has spoken. Well, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting that to be what Cranky's complaints were, but he was kind of right on one of them. I want to see if there's any interesting stuff in this one since I already have it opened. Weapon Lord. Smell a video. Oh no, poor Earthbound. Poor Earthbound and its doomed smell-based marketing. We got more like Silicon graphics stuff here. There we go. Here's the banana. Oh my god. I'm glad we looked this far. Look at all this great Donkey Kong stuff. Banana bucks. During the month of April, members can cash in Nintendo Power Stamps and Banana Bucks for a bunch of Donkey Kong Country merchandise. Man, look at all this. I want all of this. Dude, what if they... the Clumps nipple-based advertising for Donkey Kong Country where, like you open Nintendo Power and they, like, have, like, touchable nipples. like 3D nipples. When you purchase select Nintendo products, you can earn Banana Bucks, good for the purchase of really gnarly jungle gear. Super Power Club members can double their earnings by substituting or combining Nintendo Power Stamps with Banana Bucks. It's a deal even Donkey and Diddy are flipping over. Oh my goodness. You could get... Man, this like, Super Nintendo bundle with Donkey Kong Country. That's really neat. You could get all of these colorful Game Boys. And, Donkey Kong Country was only 15 Banana Bucks. That seems... I don't know what the conversion rate for, like, Banana Bucks into dollars was, but only 15 Banana Bucks? That seems pretty reasonable to me. 1 clump billion copies. You could get the DK Jams CD. And, this little, Donkey Kong figurine here, I guess. The Diddy Kong hat. Gotta have it. Oh, man. Good stuff. Mario's Picross. I played this. I played this on the Nintendo Switch, the Game Boy version. I did all of it. I did all the Picrosses. It was fun. I'm actually playing the SNES version right now, which is untranslated from Japanese, but that's okay because you don't really need to read things. It's pretty hard. I'm on like some of the later ones that are like I'm being a little frustrated sometimes, but it's good for my brain. It's something that I do when I need a distraction, instead of like looking at social media or something. I like Picross. Picross is a good thing. All right, now we got Diddy Kong here again, and he's kind of like peeking out. Look, you could okay, hold on. Look, you could win a 1 year's connection to America Online. Stop trying to tell me about Booger Man. Yo, GoldenEye? Alright. Yeah, I don't remember what the Game Boy Mario Picross is called, but I actually don't know what the Super Nintendo one is technically called because I don't know what the title is because it's in Japanese, but I guess it would be like Super Mario Picross. But it's kind of interesting because it has like 2 modes, and there's like Mario's Picross, but there's also Wario's Picross in the same game. And so like the Wario mode doesn't tell you when you've gotten something wrong. So you just kind of like, there's like basically no fallback hint system, and you just kind of have to completely figure it out on your own as if you were like doing a Picross puzzle on just like paper instead of it being a video game that tells you when you got something wrong and you get a penalty for it. It is evil. It is so hard. Okay. That's about it though. That's all I had for today. It's a little bit of a shorter stream, like I said. I mean, it was still almost 3 hours long, so but we finished looking at Donkey Kong Land stuff, and we looked at some previews of DKC2. And next stream, I will be playing Donkey Kong Country 2, which should be next weekend unless I take a whole lot longer recovering from this illness than I would expect. But I mean, I'm pretty much back to normal now. But so next Saturday, plan on it. It's happening for real.